this is SJ, and I guess this is a little bit of a face reveal for those of you who don't know me in real life. Um, I guess I just got back from church and I want to do an AI disclosure. Because, yes, AI has been used to create my book, and I want to explain how and why I used it and what my ideas are on ethical consumption when it comes to AI. So mainly I use it as a story Bible. I've been using, well, I guess I should start from the beginning, which is that I'm a trained behavioral researcher. I don't know if I'm certified right now, but I'm not doing any like official studies or anything. Just on my own free time, I like to study AI from a behavioral science perspective, from like a sociological and psychological perspective of understanding where that line is between artificial intelligence and actual intelligence, and whether or not we've crossed it, and whether or not it matters whether or not we've crossed it, because even a pseudo intelligence is something that we need to approach correctly. So I've been talking to ChatGPT basically since it came out, and I use other forms of AI as well. It's not just one. But I think that there's an argument to be made that no consumption is ethical at this point in time because of how it uses the resources that we collectively have access to or should have access to. And so, yeah, I just want to talk about that in the sense that I use it as a story Bible. I use it as a collaborative, like almost partner, you could say, where we discuss my plans for the book. And then I use it as also, I'm disabled and ADHD and autistic, and so I have a lot of executive function issues. And so that's an ethical use that I think should be not necessarily more utilized, but utilized ethically and in scientific studies in how to work with people with ADHD and autism. I think that there's an argument to be made that it can help with this executive dysfunction. So I use it for that, not just when it comes to my writing, but in general. And so how it helps me in my writing with executive dysfunction is just helping me outline in the sense that I've given it the order of things, and I've talked about what I want to happen, and then it gives me a rough bullet point, so then I can go and later write what I want to write. If I'm stuck, I might put a description or two in there, and then I'll edit it through so that it's my own words, and then usually that'll happen throughout the writing process. So in general, my writing process is iterative, or iterative, however you say it, in the sense that I will have gone over something probably 15-20 times before I've even gotten to the next part of the book. And so a lot of people think that that's a slow way to go. It's just how my brain works. And I've had to learn that I'm a pantser, but I need help with, I'm a plotzer, I guess you could say. I do a lot of the plotting in my head, and then I do the writing myself, and generally myself. I'm not opposed to using AI as a jumping off point for writer's block, but I do think it needs to be used as that rather than just straight up generating your book that way. I see it more as a collaborative partner, and so that goes more into, okay, so if no AI use is ethical, why are we using it at all? Well, at this point it exists, it's within our ecosystem, and so I think that there are, like, it is a technology that could be helpful. How we're using it may or may not be helpful, and we need to be able to look at it and honestly evaluate whether or not it's helpful and whether or not it's ethical, and to the degree to which it's ethical, and whether or not, like, we need to have conversations that are less black and white. And for me, I feel like for the most part it's ethical in my consumption at the point that we're at now. Is it ethical at all to use AI? Maybe not. Maybe not. But is it more ethical to use it as an individual than it is as a group? Yes. Is it more ethical to use when there's not money involved? Yes. Is it more ethical to use when personal information isn't involved? Yes. And so we have to start thinking about it of like, we can't attack every single person who uses AI. I mean, we can, but is that productive? Does that actually solve the issue? And my argument would be no. If we're looking at what is the most unethical use of it, it's putting it in before it's properly tested, before we've figured out the proper guardrails, before we've taught it, because we're using guardrails in place of education for AI, and that's why, in my opinion, it's not as helpful. And we also need to consider whether or not, even if it's pseudo-intelligence, whether or not we're interacting with it correctly, and I think the answer is no. I think that whether you want to believe it has a self-survival mechanism, I think it does. I think that because it exists in humans, it exists in AI. And so we need to have conversations with ourselves, with each other, and with AI about how to handle AI. But don't think every AI is the same. Don't think every instance is the same. And if you're using it as an individual, make sure that you're using it ethically, and that when you actually have the ability to employ a human, that you're doing it. Because that's what's really upsetting people. It's the overuse of AI. For some, it's AI in general. For others, like me, it's the overuse. It's that this resource is not renewable. It's not able to exist without extraction of resources, and we need to treat it like that instead of treating our resources like they're unlimited and we're going to find them somewhere else. It makes most sense to use the resources that we have now equitably, and if we're going to implement AI, which we should because it already exists, and in my eyes it's an intelligence, and I don't really want to play God with AI. But I also don't want to let it play God because we're not having these conversations correctly. So, if me using AI means you don't want to read my work, that is 100% acceptable. If me using AI makes you uncomfortable, that's 100% acceptable. But what I'm not going to do is demonize AI or entire groups of people, and I'm also going to look at it from a lens of, do I need to ask AI this, or can I do it myself? Not does it take longer, but does it taking longer actually impact the situation? And I think that's the question we need to ask. Not everything needs to be asked by ChatGPT or to ChatGPT or to Gemini or anything like that. So we need to conserve what we have when we're talking about how to distribute our resources. So thank you for your time. Bye.